everybody, it's Savannah Sanchez here from The Social Savannah. Today I am so excited to be talking about the best ads with no physical product. So let's get right into it. Great. So for some of you who may not know me, my name is Savannah. I work with a team of 40 creators and 10 editors that I've personally trained over the last 5 years to create top performing ad content for some of the top brands on Meta and TikTok. And today I'm very excited because I'm going to be going through the ad hooks and formats that have specifically worked well for apps and service-based businesses. Now, we all know filming engaging ads when you don't have a physical product can be difficult, but my goal is that you'll come away with some examples today that will enable you to create some top performing engaging ads with no products needed. So all the examples I'm going to be showing today are all ones that I have developed on my team. Alrighty, let's get into it. So the first example I want to show you is this before and after skit, where essentially we talk about how their lives were not as great before the service of Bumble for dating service. But one thing to pay specific attention to is the sound choice. So we created a custom sound where at the beginning it's screaming, it's scary music, and at the end it resolves itself. So I'm going to play that so you can hear it. Here's another example with the same sound. Awesome. So the purpose of this is to show how your life was not as great before using your app or service, and then how it improved once you started using it. And so the last example on the screen right now, I'm just showing that you can also do this without stitching together music. You can also just show pointing at text on the screen about how your life improved once you started using the app, like we did here for Bumble. I've heard now she's found genuine connections, and then ending with the CTA of downloading the app. Now, this format is very top performing among a lot of my clients. It's called the self skit. Whenever I'm starting with a new client, this is one of the formats that I like to do as one of the first things that we execute. So as you can see in the first example, we did it as a FaceTime of her FaceTiming herself with a different outfit on and talking about how the app has improved her life. In the second one, we set it up to where we filmed the same creator but in a different outfit sitting across the room, and then editing it together as if she's having a conversation with herself. And she's asking herself about, oh, this app does this and this, it actually doesn't do this, and it improved your life. How? A dating app that doesn't suck? Yep. So this one is a very great format to test. And then on the far right, we have another example of this, of showing the same creator, different outfits, but doing the self skit with yourself. And then, okay, I have to download this. What is it called? Bumble. And then you can even do the overlay of the app on top to make it even more engaging. Now, this one is a slideshow format, so you don't always have to do videos when advertising apps and services. One thing that I've tested for clients is creating these slideshows. So rating things that Bumble has done for my dating life, and then going through, it helped me feel empowered, 10 out of 10, helped me make genuine connections, 12 out of 10. So this is a very easy format to do, but it's very eye-catching and works really well on Meta and TikTok. Next, we have success stories. So whenever you're advertising an app or service, you want to tell people what is the end result of using your app and service. So if you can find B-roll of people looking happy in this instance, we're advertising a dating app, so showing them on dates, out on adventures, and telling people what their life can be like once they use your app or service. Success stories are always great, and people always want to see how other people have benefited from the app or service. Next, we have the classic walk and talk. So essentially, the creator is walking and talking about why she likes the app or service, maybe talking about some common objections like, oh, I used to not like dating apps because this and this, but it's actually not as scary as you might think. But now that I've tried it, it's great and you will like it too. And this format works really well because it looks like an organic TikTok or Instagram story. It doesn't look like an ad. It looks like an influencer just picked up her phone and started talking to her camera on her stories. So it's a very engaging format and one that I would definitely recommend testing. Next, we have the man on the street interview. So we set it up with the creator interviewing her friend about a horror story of her going out with her guy, and then she introduces the app as a potential solution to her dating woes. So we love doing man on the street interviews. It's a very engaging format. We coordinated it with 2 creators so that we could give them the talking points and scripts for it. So we're not just interviewing random people on the street. We're creating this prefabricated environment. As you can see from a lot of my ad examples, we use a lot of the same creators each week across a lot of my clients. That way I can train my close-knit team of creators on how to make the best content, and we use them week over week. The next format to share with you all is the whiteboard format. So buying a whiteboard is probably the best $10 investment I've ever made in terms of buying things on Amazon for my business. We use the whiteboard all the time for filming, especially when filming an app or service. It's really engaging to show a graph or write down the main value propositions, as well as emphasize specific words. You can cross out words like you can see in our example. We have just found so many uses for the whiteboard, and it's a great way to keep people engaged, especially when you don't have a physical product. Just talking to the camera is great, but mixing it in with physically writing can help make your ad that much more thumb-stopping. Next, we have the Notes app. So this is great because it looks very organic. On the first one, we're actually showing her ticking off things from her Notes app and showing that she's reaching her goals using this service. In the middle ad, you can see that we start the ad with writing down your dreams of becoming IG famous can be a reality, and writing it in her Notes app with the green screen format on top. And then lastly, an ad we did for Noom, we're showing adding different things to a checklist in Noom for your weight loss goals. And then to make it that much more engaging, we added some UGC at the bottom just to make the ad a bit more interesting, which is something you can test with this Notes app format. Next, we have the paper flip. So this is great if you want to advertise an offer. Like for the first one, we're saying you're getting your 100 nights free, looking for struggling sleepers. I think this format can apply for so many different services, and it's very thumb-stopping. People definitely stop to watch to see what all the pieces of paper say. They want to see the creator get through all of the different options. So would highly recommend testing this one. It's so easy to set up too. All we needed was a printer and a creator to stand on the street and flip through the pieces of paper. There's no talking or any other elements needed. So this is a very easy one to do, but has a very high payoff. Next, we have the interesting writing hook. So I'm always trying to think about what are some unique ways we can get our main value propositions across. And we always try to figure out how we can write either in sand, write with food, do something interesting with writing. Like we mentioned, write on the whiteboard, write on a mirror. So in this case, we wrote on the cake, how to make your Instagram famous. And then we go into the normal UGC ad of showing a lot of girls being happy once they used the service to grow their Instagram following. I also wanted to show you some specific examples for a client, Alma Therapy. So for this one, we actually put the Post-it notes on top of the computer screen to call out certain value props. So this is a great way to look more eye-catching, especially if your product is kind of boring, like it's just a website. You can add elements like putting the Post-it note on top just to make it more interesting than just filming a computer, because that would be pretty dull. And as you can see, we always add the text overlays on top so that it's easy to watch with or without sound on. This next format is all around saving you money. So I'm about to save you a lot of money on therapy costs. So it's always great to start the ad with a bit of a cliffhanger. We have her pointing above the text, and then we go into the benefits of the service, and then B-roll of her looking happy now that she's used the service and how it's improved her life. The next and last format is the myth versus truth. So you could say a common myth about your industry. Myth, you have to settle for a therapist who's not the right fit. Truth, Alma can help you find the great therapist. And then showing the green screen format over the website, having the creator talk to the camera, and explaining the different value propositions in a 30-second ad. Next, we have the TikTok comment response. So this is a classic ad format. It's one I use across both services and products because it honestly just works so well. Starting the ad in the first 3 seconds with the creator talking to the camera and having that organic TikTok comment overlay just looks incredibly native to the feed and definitely stops the scroll. Next, we have some examples from affordable health plans. So this is for all of you out there that are running lead generation ads. The first hook to test is reasons to visit X. So we did reasons to visit affordablehealthplans.com. We put the website overlay on the hook so that you can see what the website looks like, showing the creator go on the computer, filling out the form, and then showing some B-roll of the creator looking happy now that they have affordable health insurance. So this is a really great format to test. Another great format to test, especially for lead generation, is about saving money. So everyone always wants to know money-saving hacks, which is why in the hook of the ad, we actually showed her throwing money at us, throwing money in the trash to get that eye-catching, thumb-stopping effect in the first few seconds. And then we talk about how the service helps her save money on health insurance. And lastly, we have here's the secret. So here's the secret to getting affordable health care. People always want hacks, tips, and secrets to save money. And then having the green screen over the website makes it very engaging and relatable. So as you can tell from all these examples, all of them feature real humans in the ad talking to the camera about their experience in a testimonial style, and then overlaying that with elements from the website or the app. Next, we have some examples from my client Zapier. So the first one is a skit of your current self versus your future self. So you could be a little bit exaggerated. You can dress yourself up as the character, as his future self with the cool glasses. He's all relaxed now that he's discovered Zapier, and then comparing it to his old self where he's pulling out his hair and he's so frustrated. So in these skits, it's always great to be a little bit more dramatic to get the message across. The same thing for the second format, you versus a friend. So showing your friend looking all cool and happy that they've tried this product or service versus you before you discovered this service, you were pulling your hair out and all stressed. So you can apply this across so many different services, showing how you were before you discovered the service versus showing how you are now that you've discovered it and how that it's improved your life. And lastly, we have the classic green screen. We've used green screen elements in many of the ad examples that I've showed today because it just works so well, especially if you're having to show the website or an app. Having that green screen overlay will keep it that much more engaging. Instead of just showing screen recordings, you're having a face over it as well. So we will usually have the creator try to film in front of a pretty neutral background, like a white background like here, so it's easy to crop him out and put him on the website. Next, we have some examples from Jackpocket Lottery. So the first one is answering FAQs. So this is a really great one to do for retargeting ads if you are advertising a service. So you can answer some common objections and questions that people have about your service. We also integrated the TikTok comment overlay as the question to make it that much more engaging, like what happens if I win, and have that as the overlay. So you could even mix and match styles. You can do answering FAQs mixed in with TikTok overlay. The next one is POV. You found an easy, convenient way to find Mega Millions lottery tickets. And as you can see, we are a little bit exaggerated with her reactions. She's all happy and excited. So you want to show very emotional responses to using the product or the service. And then we show the app screenshots to show how easy it is to use the app. And the last one is problem solution. The problem, wanting an easier way to order a lottery ticket. The solution, having the creator point with the green screen format, showing the app as the solution. Lastly, this is a great hook to test. If you are searching for this, then you need to try this. So as you can see in all these examples, we say, if you're searching for this, then you need to try this. If you keep procrastinating, then you need to try this app. Or for this one, if you're searching for how to get a lottery ticket, then you need to try this app. So essentially, you're just answering the question that your customer has. They're trying to figure out how to improve their life in some way, how to obtain a service or an app that's going to help them. And you are saying, if you're looking for this, then we have the solution for you. Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thanks so much.
I really like Dima's question, so we'll start there. If you had to choose only one of any of these examples, which one would you pick for auto insurance if you were trying to do ads for auto insurance?
I would choose the self-skit example. That's one of the ones I showed in the beginning where the model is wearing two different outfits. So I think you can do a really interesting skit there of like, oh, I'm so tired of overpaying for auto insurance, or dang, like I just wrecked my car. How am I going to pay for this? And showing like the creator dressed one way versus another, and showing her future self of, oh, we don't stress about this anymore. We got auto insurance from X, Y, and Z. So I think that would be a really effective format.
I agree. I think the auto insurance industry, especially in the States at least, has a reputation for leaning into comedy in their advertisements. So I think the door is wide open to do some humorous skits. And shout out to the motion research team for finding out in our creative trends that the comedy comeback is a trend that is really making its way in 2025. So, all right, next question. Let's see. How many iterations or revisions do you typically go through, Savannah, with your UGC creator team? You said you work with about 40 every week, which is like crazy. I don't know how you manage that, but yeah, give us an idea of iterations, revisions, and maybe you could tell us also about like your process of working with all those creators.
Definitely. So typically when I'm making an ad, I like to do at least two variations so that we can test two different hooks against each other. But for some clients, we're doing as many as like 12 iterations per week of using the same base footage, but just chopping up the different scenes, using different hooks, using different text treatments. So the sky's really the limit in terms of how many iterations you can make. It all depends on a client's scale. So if you're only spending like $50,000 on Facebook ads a month, maybe you only need 2 or 4 variations to test each week to combat creative fatigue and to get new variations into your ad account. Where brands that are spending millions of dollars a month on ad spend, ads are burning through really fast. So that's where they may need like 10, 15 different iterations a week just to keep the algorithm fed. So it's all a component of ad spend. And for revisions, I usually will send clients the first draft, and then they'll have a chance to give me any revisions that they want in the ad. And then I get those done in the next few days, and then they're ready to launch the ads.
I love that. I think people might overlook and overestimate. They're like, I got to do iterations. I heard you're supposed to do it. And it's like, well, what's your budget? Because let's be honest, if you're, the Ridge and you're spending, a ton of money on your ads, yeah, you need to keep that algorithm fed. So I think that's an important distinction to make. Let's see the next question in here. How do you brief creators? Ooh, where did it go? How do you brief creators to get content back that doesn't sound overly scripted? Thank you, Alicia. Great question.
For sure. Well, I think the first step is finding great creators. That's why I've been working with the same group of creators, some for years now, the same creators I'm working with every single week, so that I can train them on here's exactly how you should say this. You need this type of lighting, you need to say it this way. So I've taken a more like internal team approach to creators so that I can train them up and have them deliver exactly what I need. So it's first finding people who can speak to the camera in an authentic and genuine way, not look like they're just reading a script. So typically, actors and actresses are the best place to go for this because they're used to talking on camera and portraying different emotions. Sometimes, if you're working with like an influencer, they're not used to doing script reads and can come off a bit robotic. So finding someone with acting experience is number one. And then I like to give all of the creators talking points in terms of the top value props of the clients, the different hooks that we want to test. So I'll have them read the hooks as if it's a script read, but I also will give them talking points that they can say in their own words how they feel about the product. So instead of having them read line for line about the different value props, I more just tell them, here's the benefits. Now I want you to tell us in your own words about these benefits and what you like about them. And sometimes they will only talk about the benefits that they can relate to and that they resonate with the most. They're not necessarily reading out a list of benefits. They're talking about the ones that actually resonate with them. And then the ads come out so much better if the creator is actually speaking from their own experience and are talking in their own words.
I borrowed that idea from you when working with some UGC creators for our motion ads. And basically, we send them like, here's a script, here are 3 different hooks. And then we'd love for you to just keep the camera on, keep the camera rolling. Just can you ad lib and answer these questions? Question number 1, and just list them out. Super simple questions. And you get so much footage, and you're so right. A lot of times the ad lib stuff ends up being the best because it's like from the heart and it's like improvised off the top of the head, and it's much more natural. So
100%.
always teaching us, Savannah. Okay, I really like this next question. As somebody who used to work in higher ed, how would you approach ad creative for an experience that takes years? For example, I work at a university and we try to promote our programs and the student experience as a whole. I would have loved to know how Savannah Sanchez would approach a big university client with their ad strategy.
Yeah, I think the one that stands out to me the most is like the old self versus future self. So
Mm,
being able to show like future self, you're reaching your career goals, you've traveled the world, you're living your dream life and like showing those visuals. I think you can even be exaggerated with it if you want to take the comedy approach of like maybe someone like throwing like dollar bills if they're like over themselves as they're like so happy that they went to college and they were able to reach their goals versus their old self. They're like living in the basement, like flipping burgers. I don't know. I tend to like the more exaggerated, like funny type of ads, but I think you could even do a more calm version of that too, where it's just about like how happy you are to have your degree and how much you've learned. So I think showing that visual contrast of like before you got your degree versus after and how your life has changed.
dang, that's so true. I would never have thought to do that. And I worked it, and we would always try to like come at it from being like, we were afraid to like go into the comedy angle at a university because it's like we don't want to like upset anybody because it's like if it's a really expensive school and people are so price sensitive and they're like how like but the future self, you could do it like you said, a tame version of that where it's like what are the biggest 4 draws to your college or university. And if it's not a college or university, maybe it's like somebody earlier was asking like services for B2B. So like maybe you're trying to promote your agency, right? And you're trying to like, I think the past self, future self, it's applicable for such a diverse group of ads that you're trying to make. So that was like one of my favorite takeaways from today. Okay, let's see. We'll do 2 more, and then let's see. Oh, I thought this one would be interesting for you, Savannah. Do you find that certain ad formats do better on TikTok versus Meta?
Mm, I would say the skit ad formats are the most native to TikTok, but most of the time when something performs well on TikTok, it also performs well on Meta. Like for the formats that I presented today, I would say most of my clients are spending the majority of ad spend on Meta.
Mm.
So but I would say the more skit and organic style concepts like match more with the TikTok skits. But now that Reels is essentially just a mirror of TikTok, I feel like the line is just getting more and more blurred and that there's not really such thing as like TikTok specific content anymore because now ads are showing on Reels and they're just like TikTok. So I wouldn't say there's really a major distinction anymore.
I agree. As somebody who accidentally deleted TikTok when it went dark for those 24 hours, and then I was without TikTok for 2 weeks, and then I got it back, I was like, oh, this algorithm is so good. It's so amazing. I missed you. I missed you. Okay. I want to ask one last question. Yeah, demographics. Let's talk about that for a second. So, have you found any style of hooks that maybe speak better to older adults? I know that when you've come on here and taught us about, I think it was you, where you were like, the age of your demographic is also like how quick your ad needs to be.
Yes.
But I'm
Like if
curious about, yeah, you've done that before, but then like for the older adults 50 plus, if you've come across anything in your work where you're like, this actually works pretty well for them.
I would say like the cheesy infomercial style, like when you think of like the 3 a.m. like wrinkle cream commercials, they're basically just translating those into Facebook ads, like where it's more drawn out. It's a lot of befores and afters because I think people from that older generation want to see efficacy. So they are more concerned with hearing real testimonials of customers, seeing a lot of before and after photos if applicable. I would say they're probably a bit more skeptical than like an 18-year-old who's on TikTok. So that's why those ads that are targeting the older generation, they're typically longer in length, they're more educational, and you have to hit harder with like the social proof, like endorsed by USA Today and Moms R Us and whatever it is. Like they need a bit more convincing versus just like an 18-year-old who's seeing a lipstick on TikTok and is like, oh, I want that too.
I am getting flashbacks to like a kid who fell asleep with the TV on, and then it's like a very strange commercial appearing on at like 3 a.m. and it's like, whoa, what's going on here? So
Yeah.
I love that you likened what happened back in the day to like we're just remaking it, right? We're
Yes.
doing the same thing nowadays. Um, do you want to do one more question, or you're like, I'm cooked,
I'm
I'm
good.
ready?
We're
Okay,
good.
okay.
Let's
Let's
keep going.
see. Um, what non-UGC advice do you have for intangible products?
Mm, I think you can still utilize still images very well as an intangible product. So showing the end result, like I'm trying to think if they're like a service-based business, you're doing landscaping, like showing a beautiful lawn and then having the text overlay of the offer. So I think those type of formats can still work really well and be a good complement to like the typical UGC testimonial style.
One of the things I've learned from you as well is like sometimes when you're starting out with your creative strategy, it's really important to make sure you've done like the really obvious stuff already when it comes to an account. And so like
Mhm.
if you're just getting started in promoting an intangible, a software, an app, a service-based business, like make sure you've done the like kind of obvious ads like Savannah just described.
Yeah.
Um, when we were promoting a piece of content recently, sometimes we really try to get super creative, and our head of content was like, whoa, let's take a step back and make sure that we have some statics that just like show a very like one liner and somebody's face
Yep.
and to go download, and that was like one of our top performing ones. So my I was like, Savannah strikes again with these pieces of advice, like make sure you're hitting the obvious stuff and then you can branch out to the more creative ideas.
For
um
sure. You don't need to go straight into the skits or the UGC stuff. Like that stuff does take more time and effort and skill to produce. You can start just on Canva, like just getting images and text overlays and testing different quotes from customers, different value props, different offers, all with still images. I think that would be the first place I would go to. And then once I've reached a certain level of scale, I'm trying to expand beyond what I'm doing already, that's when I would start implementing videos into the strategy.
hmm. um Before I ask my last question, if all of you are in the chat and you want to go check out some of the docs, hit the docs tab. You can subscribe to Savannah's newsletter. It's a fantastic newsletter. If you missed it at the opening, I never miss a newsletter. And Savannah can go back into her email analytics and make sure I'm not lying here, but I really try to open and spend a lot of time studying her content that she puts out. Um, so make sure you go into the docs tab and subscribe to her newsletter. The last question that I'll do is just because we've gone through a lot here. It had to do with Oh yeah, like how have you approached um sectors where there's like, again, service-based and tangible, where it's a little bit more strict, like they're cracking down with health stuff. Um, but I would love to know like how you've gone about making ads or where you've seen success with like maybe government entities or with health, something that's like very regulated.
For sure. It's more difficult, that's for sure. The good thing about working with those type of clients is they typically have lawyers that they lean on to say, these are the approved claims, these are the not approved claims. And so for those type of instances, we are not going to leave it to the creator to ad lib about their own experience. I'm going to the client and I'm like, hey, what claims word for word can I say? Because as we know, if you even change an and, an if, a but, that can completely change the whole claim. So when working with those type of clients, it's really important to have a do's and don'ts approved claims guideline before we even start filming. And that's been the biggest thing with those type of clients is just making sure you have that guide early on and that you're following the claims word for word. And if we do mess up a claim, then it's just going back, refilming, doing the script again. But the more clear you can be on that from the start, the better. And it is limiting because you aren't going to be able to do as much fun concepts or out of the box, but you can still utilize a lot of the concepts and hooks that I use today in my presentation could absolutely work for like the health and pharmaceutical industry. It's just working with a lawyer, hopefully on their team, who can tell you exactly what to say and not to say so that you can get the ads approved and live as quickly as possible.
Great call out. I think that a lot of the stuff I could see somebody really breaking through the noise actually in an industry that's super regulated, making sure those claims are cleared by legal, right? But then in the delivery of it, I could totally see somebody doing the Bob Dylan like paper, like what did you call it? The
Yeah, paper flip.
paper flip. I could totally see somebody doing that with like some regulated industries. I saw some good questions in the chat about like how do you. I'm not the most creative writer. How do you plan out or write up hooks? Um, I would love for you to share like where do you get inspo for hooks? I feel like are you just perpetually online scrolling and you're just like boink save boink save.
Much. I think I'm not even like the most creative person either, but I am really good at research. And I think that's where tools like Motion come in, where as long as you can stay in the data, I look at all of my clients' motion reports on a weekly basis so I can see across industries what type of hooks and ads are working. And then I like to replicate that for other clients. So if I have even a client that's in health and beauty and we're using this hook, I can take that over to a completely different sector if it applies. So a lot of it just comes down to having good research tools, with Motion being the number one tool that I use for research. I think tools like Motions, is it called creative research, where you can now search up brands and
Mhm.
different experts? I found myself last week going through a lot of the creative experts on Motion, like the different ads that they've compiled into their boards there. And then I'm just thinking to myself, oh, I can change this and use this for this client, or I can use it for that. So I'm really good at researching and stealing ideas. But coming up with your own, it is difficult. And so I kind of think about it in terms of like maybe 80% of the stuff we're producing is based off of an ad example I've seen or an organic TikTok. Organic TikTok is the source of a lot of the ads that we make, of just the videos that are going viral on there. And then 20% of the brain power is like, how can we come up with something new and weird, like riding on the cake? That was something that my team came up with out of the blue, because we're like, oh, what can we write on? Like, that'd be interesting. But when you're making hundreds of ads a week, you can't realistically come up with like all brand new ideas all the time. So I think that's where being really good at research and having good tools like Motion to help you do that is what's going to help you do 80% of the ads and then reserve 10% of your brain space for coming up with new ideas.
I love it. We did not pay Savannah to say that, but I
No,
do want to just show you
great
guys.
endorsement.
Creative research is really cool. I use it all the time, and I love to save ads, go in, click into the ad, and then look at the transcription of the ad, which is a feature inside of creative research that you can use. You can go into brand intel and you can, specifically look for like a brand, search for them. I even have my own little collection here, Trav the Ad Dad, where I save all of my favorite ones. But that actually is how I come up with a lot of hooks as well. I think of myself as creative, but as Pablo Picasso said, the best creatives, they just steal. I don't know if he actually said that. Somebody said that. I'll attribute it to him. Savannah, thank you so much for coming on. I now want to go eat a cake that I use in an ad. We appreciate you so much. You are the golden child of motion. We love you here. And you guys, again, go into the docs tab if you haven't already and subscribe to Savannah's newsletter. You can learn more about Motion's expert agents, our creative research tool that I pulled up, all sorts of cool stuff out there. We appreciate you, and we'll see you at our next event. And stay tuned. I think, are we going to be showing a video? Yes. Okay. I'm not as good at demoing Motion. If you want to learn more about Motion, stick around. Evan Lee is the god of demoing Motion. I'm not going to even try. So he recorded a pre-made video that you guys can watch of how he uses Motion.
What's up, party people? I'm Evan Lee, head of partnerships here at Motion. I want to quickly show you why Motion is the secret weapon for unlocking success on paid social. Sounds good? Let's go. First, why do you even need Motion? Right now, I know you've got big customer acquisition goals for your social ads, and the only way you're going to hit those goals is simple. You need to make amazing creative. But here are two of the most common ways teams fumble the ball. First, they don't have anyone to manage this process. A creative strategist. Making amazing creative is a team sport. You've got so many people involved, and you're spending so much money on ads every single day. The last thing you'd want is to have everyone running in different directions. Second, it's super hard to analyze creative with a spreadsheet. Come on, y'all, a spreadsheet. Sure, media buyers speak in metrics and pivot tables, but the creative team is set up to fail. Let me show you something better. This is Motion. With Motion, it's easy for creative strategists to take the reins, make smart, data-driven decisions about your creative, and if you look a little closer, Motion is automatically grouping your ads and metrics together, because all creative teams really care about is how the asset performed holistically versus that one-off ad or audience and ads manager that can skew your results. Once you find an insight in Motion, it's easy to brief your creative team, add comments, and get new ads live fast. Let's go a little bit deeper into the types of creative decisions that Motion helps you make. For example, every week, the HexClad team hops into our launch analysis report. They ship over 150 pieces of unique creative weekly. Wow. This is the report that helps them identify concepts with the potential to scale. As HexClad's head of growth, Connor, told us, Motion is at the absolute core of our creative testing process. With Motion, HexClad has been able to scale their spend on top of funnel channels by 60%. You can make decisions about hooks, headlines, messaging, landing pages, and visuals. Savannah Sanchez's agency ships nonstop TikTok and Facebook ads, filming new video content every single week. Her team loves using Motion for the video deep dive reports to quickly analyze what's working in ads and uncover creative ways to stop the scroll. As Savannah told us, I honestly couldn't live without Motion at this point. Motion makes it easy to go from dissecting the data to briefing editors and creators on what we can tweak next in terms of hooks and iterations. Savannah's agency saves 520 hours annually on creative reporting with Motion. Iterations are great, but your ad account is going to flatline if you don't start adding net new concepts and big swings. So Motion helps you zoom way out. Cody, the chief marketing and revenue officer over at Jones Road Beauty, loves using Motion's comparative analysis report. This report helps you understand the bigger trends driving performance. For example, you can answer questions like, which influencers are generating the most money? Which collections are winning? As Cody told us, Motion was the missing link in helping our media buyers and creatives see eye to eye on ad performance. Motion has helped Jones Road Beauty get the maximum value for every dollar of their ad spend. As you've seen, Motion brings your growth and creative worlds into harmony, helping your company ship more winning ads, scale spend, and bring more revenue in the door. Hit me up if you have any questions or book a demo to learn more.